Good morning, everybody. It's Pastor John with another edition of Monday Morning Quarterback. So yesterday we talked about the story of the 10 lepers that were seeking healing from Jesus, and he cured them of their leprosy. But after he cured them, only one of them came back to give thanks to Jesus, and that one was a Samaritan. And we asked the question that if faith is simply believing that God can accomplish something in our lives, then all of the lepers were actually faithful. But if faith means something more, perhaps allowing God to not only heal our infirmities, but allowing God to work within us to make within us a new creation, then perhaps the 9 who never returned to say thank you weren't really healed of anything other than their leprosy. You see, gratitude, thankfulness to God, this is the gateway to the type of faith that not only heals, but that also transforms and saves. On March 12th, 2023, our son Corin was riding his e-bike down the street near where we live, and a car pulling out of a cross street hit him and just knocked him over. He was very severely injured. He had a broken femur, a broken tibia, and a broken ankle. All of these injuries required emergency surgery to repair. Now, this injury happened while he was still in physical therapy, recovering from a broken back that he suffered in a 2021 car accident. So he spent a week in the hospital, recovering from the surgery and being tended to, and then he spent a week in a rehab hospital. And this is, a young man, going through all this. And then he came home to begin the very long, slow, arduous process of healing. Now, his physical healing actually continues to this day. He's still in physical therapy for those injuries. But what has changed? What has changed is his attitude. I would never wish this upon anyone. The suffering this child has endured, or this young man has endured over the past few years because of these injuries, has been immense. So I would never wish this on anyone. But what I have noticed is that what has been transformed is not just his body as he experienced healing, but his spirit, because he has become grateful. Gratitude has come to mark his attitude towards life. And it's been a remarkable thing to watch. It's been inspiring, and it's also been a little bit challenging because I've had to look at my own life a little bit. All of that has continued. All of that healing, the transformation has continued. So Corin is not just experiencing healing from his injuries as he, went through all these medical procedures and still goes through physical therapy, and he is getting better. But he's also experiencing change, transformation within himself. And that's because of the attitude of gratitude. And it is solely because of the attitude of gratitude. And that attitude has what's helped him take his body to new heights. This last week, he completed in a Spartan race up in Mammoth Lakes. Now, this race was 14 miles long. It had 35 obstacles and an elevation gain of 4,500 feet. He placed 21st overall out of 257 contestants. He took second in his age group. He did really well physically. But again, what I took note of was the first words out of his mouth when he came home, full of excitement, full of joy, full of passion. First words out of his mouth were, "God is good all the time. Thanks be to God." You see, this child has experienced transformation in his body. He has experienced healing in his body. He's got a lot of work to do. And there may be issues, when he gets older, for sure. But What has transformed is his soul. What has been changed is who he is. And it's been a remarkable thing to watch. And that's the difference between healing of an injury or a sickness and salvation. The Samaritan was saved and healed. The 9 others, they were healed of their leprosy. But because they didn't allow gratitude to enter into their heart, that's really all they got. And I'm sure that was a lot to them. But the Samaritan leper, he was transformed because he was healed of his leprosy, but he was transformed by his gratitude to Jesus for what he did. And so, as Jesus said, because of this, he was made well. Attitude is everything, my friends. And I know it's not always easy, but as we work to face the challenges that we face in our lives, as my son likes to tell me, if you're grateful, if you're thankful, there's not a lot of room left over for anxiety or fear. Those sound like words to live by. Have a good week, my friends. God bless.